A widowed mother sought a pretend husband to protect her ranch, never suspecting who the cowboy really was. The sun of the distant star system dipped low, casting long shadows across her land. She drew a deep breath, letting the warm, alien air fill her lungs. Her ranch was more than property, it was her life, the life she had built after her husband's death 5 years ago. And now it was under threat. Her daughter, Leela, rode a small hoverbike toward her, laughing as she skidded around a rock outcrop. "Mom, come see. I caught one of the alien grazers trying to sneak into the water trough." Ilara smiled faintly. Leela's excitement was a rare comfort, a spark in days that often felt heavy and uncertain. She followed her daughter and saw a small, turquoise-scaled creature drinking from the trough, unaware of them. Leela waved at it and it lifted its head, blinking large, golden eyes before bounding away. "Good work, Leela," Ilara said, ruffling her daughter's hair. "But don't get too close. They're not like Earth animals." Leela rolled her eyes but obeyed. "I know, Mom, but they're cute. I want to name them all." Ilara's smile faded as she glanced toward the horizon. Beyond the hills, the mining drones had started to appear more frequently. The corporate consortium that had been circling her land for months was now making its presence obvious. The law on this colony was strange. Any ranch that appeared abandoned or underprotected could be claimed by corporations, even if a family lived there. And Ilara's ranch, the Whitmore homestead, was barely defended. She returned to the farmhouse, a sturdy building reinforced with alloy panels, solar arrays, and protective shields. The walls had seen storms of alien sand and occasional raids by opportunistic scavengers. Still, she often wondered if it would be enough against a corporation with high-tech drones and claim lawyers who seemed to bend the law to suit themselves. Leela followed, carrying a small tray of water for the animals. "Mom," she said hesitantly, "why don't we hire someone?" "Like a cowboy, someone to help protect the ranch," Ilara froze. The idea had crossed her mind before, but she had never seriously considered it. A cowboy, a pretend husband, was risky. She had spent years raising Leela alone, and bringing a stranger into their lives could complicate everything. Yet, the thought lingered. That night, Ilara sat in the living room, staring at the soft glow of the holographic news feed. It showed images of other settlers, ranches being taken over by corporate agents. Families were being displaced, and the law did nothing to protect them. She turned to Leela, who was curled up with her datapad. "Sweetheart, what if someone comes to help us?" "Someone strong, trustworthy." Leela's eyes lit up. "Like a cowboy. Mom, you could pretend to have a husband. That would keep the law from taking our land." Ilara laughed softly, a hollow sound. "It's not that simple. You don't just hire someone to be a pretend husband. And I can't trust just anyone with this ranch or with you." Leela leaned against her mother. "I know, Mom, but maybe he'd be special. Someone who really cares about people like us." The words settled in Ilara's mind. She didn't know how she would find such a person, but desperation has a way of opening doors to unexpected solutions. The next morning, she posted a discreet message to the Frontier Network, describing her situation in careful terms. "Widowed ranch owner seeks capable partner to assist with ranch duties and security, private inquiries only." She almost didn't expect a response. People were busy. The frontier was vast, and yet by late afternoon a reply came. "I can help. Experienced in ranching and frontier survival, I will arrive at dawn." No name, no picture, just those words. Ilara frowned. The mystery was unnerving, but the promise of help was too valuable to ignore. She replied cautiously, arranging for the person to meet her the next day. That night, Ilara struggled to sleep. She thought about the ranch, the grazing creatures, and the faint hum of distant mining drones on the horizon. Could she really trust a stranger with her home, her daughter, and her life? But she had little choice. Without protection, the ranch might be gone by the end of the month. The next morning, as the twin suns rose over the horizon, casting orange and pink streaks across the sky. A figure appeared on the dirt path leading to the ranch. He moved with quiet confidence, his boots kicking up small puffs of red dust with every step. He wore a wide-brimmed hat, a worn leather coat, and carried a weathered rifle slung over his shoulder. Even from a distance, Alara could see he was broad-shouldered and tall, with a calm presence that seemed to command attention. "Morning," the man called, tipping his hat. "I'm Ryder. I hear you need help." Alara's breath caught. Ryder's voice was steady and warm, yet carried a weight of authority. She felt an unexpected flicker of hope. "Good morning," she replied cautiously. "I'm Alara Whitmore. This is my daughter, Leela." Leela stepped forward, wide-eyed. "Are you really going to help us?" Ryder smiled faintly. "That's the plan. First, I'll need a tour. Show me what you've got here and what you need protected." As they walked the ranch, Ryder observed everything with keen attention. He noted the weakened fence lines, the grazing areas, the water supply, and the small hovercrafts scattered across the property. He didn't just look, he studied, as if he were already forming a plan in his mind. Alara watched him closely, a mixture of curiosity and cautious hope growing. "I know this place isn't much," she said. "It's just a small ranch barely holding together." Ryder shook his head. "Every ranch has its strengths. You've got the land, the animals, and a family that cares. That's more than a lot of settlers have. With the right defense and planning, you can hold this place for a long time." Leela giggled. "See, Mom, he's perfect." Alara smiled but remained wary. Something about Ryder was unusual. He seemed capable beyond reason, as if danger and hardship were second nature to him. Yet she needed someone like that now. Over the next few days, Ryder began working alongside them. He repaired fences, reinforced the water supply, and even taught Leela basic survival skills. The community began noticing the new family, and whispers spread through the settlement about the mysterious cowboy helping the Whitmores. One evening, while watching the alien sunset, Alara finally asked the question that had been on her mind since Ryder arrived. "Who are you, really?" Ryder paused, looking toward the horizon where the mining drones glimmered faintly. "Just someone who knows how to survive out here. That's all you need to know for now." Alara felt a shiver of unease. There was more to him than he let on, she could tell, but for the first time in years she felt a sense of security. The ranch, her daughter, and even she herself might survive this frontier yet. As night fell and the twin moons of the planet rose, casting silver light across the red fields, Alara realized that help had arrived in an unexpected form. Whether Ryder was the hero she hoped for, or something even greater, she didn't yet know. But one thing was certain, life on the frontier was about to change. And for the Whitmore Ranch, that change might just be exactly what they needed. The next morning, Alara woke before the twin suns of the alien horizon had fully risen. She could hear the faint hum of hover engines and the distant calls of native creatures that skittered through the rocky plains. She had grown accustomed to the noises of the frontier, but today, her mind was restless. Ryder was already awake, preparing tools and supplies outside, moving with quiet efficiency that reminded her of a seasoned soldier rather than a ranch helper. "Good morning, Ryder," Alara called, stepping onto the porch with a steaming cup of nutrient tea. Ryder turned, tipping his wide-brimmed hat slightly. "Morning, Alara. Ready for a busy day," she nodded. "Always. Leela's feeding the grazers and then we need to check the perimeter fences. The mining drones were closer yesterday than usual." Ryder's eyes narrowed slightly. "Drones don't just wander. Someone is watching. We need to be careful." Alara felt a shiver run down her spine. The consortium's agents had grown bolder, sending mechanized scouts to measure land, check water sources, and possibly intimidate settlers. If they detected weakness, they could claim the ranch with legal papers and mechanical force before anyone could stop them. "Let's start with the fences," Ryder suggested, already striding toward the outer fields. The red dust rose around them as they walked, and the alien landscape seemed both beautiful and threatening. Jagged rocks jutted from the ground like the spines of great beasts, and distant herds of grazing creatures shimmered in the sunlight. Ryder moved easily across the uneven terrain, pointing out weak spots in the fence and suggesting improvements that Alara had never considered. "You could reinforce these posts with alloy supports," he said, tapping a wooden post with the palm of his hand. "Then, any mechanical scouts or wandering predators will think twice before approaching." Alara watched him closely. There was a calm authority in Ryder's movements, a confidence that suggested he had faced far greater dangers than broken fences and alien grazers. She wondered briefly who he had been before arriving at the Whitmore Ranch. Leela appeared carrying a small toolkit. "Can I help?" she asked, her voice full of excitement. "Absolutely," Ryder said, crouching beside a weak post. "You'll learn quickly if you follow my instructions." Together, the three of them worked on the fences. Ryder demonstrated how to blend traditional ranching techniques with frontier tech. Owl-reinforced posts, energy netting that could temporarily stun aggressive creatures, and sensors that alerted them to movement within 100 meters of the perimeter. By mid-morning, the ranch had begun to look stronger, more protected. Alara felt a sense of relief she hadn't felt in months. She realized that Ryder wasn't just strong, he was brilliant, thinking ahead to dangers she hadn't even imagined. As they worked, a faint buzzing sound reached Alara's ears. She froze. "Ryder, do you hear that?" Ryder's eyes scanned the horizon. "Yes, and that's not just a grazer. Those are drones." From a ridge several hundred meters away, a cluster of small, hovering drones hovered silently, their metallic bodies glinting in the sunlight. They moved methodically, scanning the ranch with bright blue lights. "Stay calm," Ryder instructed, his voice steady. "They're observing, not attacking, for now." Alara's heart pounded. She had faced hardships before, but nothing like this. These weren't wild animals. They were machines controlled by humans who wanted her land. Ryder motioned for her and Leela to follow him back toward the house. Once inside, he activated a small console, tapping into a signal jammer he had brought. The drone's lights flickered and then slowly they drifted away. "That was close," Alara said, exhaling deeply. "How did you?" Ryder shrugged. "Experience. You learn a few tricks after dealing with situations like this." Leela stared at him, wide-eyed. "Mom, he's like a hero from the stories. He just stopped those drones." Alara smiled, but her mind was racing. Ryder was more capable than she could have imagined, and it raised as many questions as it answered. Who was he, really? And why was he here, helping her family of all people? After the drones left, Ryder suggested they patrol the nearby hills. "We need to know if there are more scouts or any natural threats coming," he said. As they walked along the rocky ridges, Ryder taught Leela how to observe the land, noticing shifts in the wind, recognizing the tracks of alien creatures and spotting mechanical anomalies. Leela absorbed the lessons eagerly, mimicking Ryder's movements and calling out observations. "You've got a good eye," Ryder said, smiling faintly. "Most settlers miss these details." Alara watched him. Every word, every movement seemed purposeful. She realized that Ryder wasn't just strong, he was precise, disciplined, and vigilant. A real protector, the kind she had only dreamed of having. By late afternoon, they returned to the ranch. Ryder suggested reinforcing the storage shed and creating a hidden safe area for important documents, supplies, and any valuables. He moved with quiet efficiency, setting up a plan that would take days to complete but would make the ranch almost untouchable. Alara couldn't help but admire him. "Ryder, I don't know how to thank you. You've done more in a few days than I could have imagined." Ryder shook his head. "You don't need to thank me. I'm here because this place matters, because people matter." There was something in his tone, something she couldn't place. A history she wasn't aware of, a past filled with experiences she could only guess at. But for now, that mystery could wait. That evening, as they ate a simple meal in the farmhouse, a soft alarm flickered on the console. Ryder leaned over, examining it. Sensors picked up movement near the northern ridge. Could be wildlife or something else. Alara's stomach tightened. Something else, Ryder nodded. We need to check. Stay here with Leela, I'll investigate. But Alara shook her head. No, I'm coming with you. Ryder's eyes met hers, calm but firm. You don't have to, but if you insist, stay close and follow my lead. Together, they walked toward the northern ridge. The terrain was rugged, and the alien landscape seemed more foreboding in the dim light of the setting suns. Ryder led the way, scanning every shadow, listening for the faintest sounds. Suddenly, a group of humanoid figures emerged from behind rocks. They were wearing light armor, carrying compact energy weapons. Alara's breath caught. Miners, she whispered. Ryder's stance shifted. Corporate scouts, they're checking the land, we need to act carefully. He raised a small device and a bright pulse of energy shot out, temporarily disabling the scouts' communication and scanners. The humans froze, confused. Ryder moved swiftly, using the terrain to his advantage, and guided Alara behind cover. Stay quiet. Don't make a sound, he instructed. With calculated movements, Ryder led the scouts away from the ranch's main areas. They retreated, muttering in frustration, unaware of the ranch's main buildings or supplies. Alara's heart pounded. Ryder, you just outsmarted them. How did you? Ryder lowered his voice. It's what I do. I protect settlements like this. You're lucky I was here. For the first time, Alara felt the weight of hope. The ranch could survive. Leela could continue to grow up safely. And Ryder was more than a helper. He was a shield, a guardian. As they returned to the farmhouse, Leela ran out, eyes wide. What happened? Did they try to take the ranch? Alara hugged her daughter tightly. No, sweetie, we're safe for now. Ryder stood nearby, scanning the horizon once more. Alara noticed the faint lines of worry on his face. He wasn't just strong. He was vigilant, always anticipating danger, always preparing. That night, as the twin moons rose and cast silver light over the red plains, Alara lay awake thinking about Ryder. He had arrived as a stranger, a mysterious cowboy willing to pretend to be her partner. But now she realized he was something more. He was capable, intelligent, and deeply committed to protecting what mattered. And she knew one thing for certain. With Ryder by her side, the Whitmore Ranch might just survive the frontier. Little did she know, the next challenge would test all their skills, courage, and trust in ways neither of them could imagine. The Whitmore Ranch had never been so alive. The morning sun painted the red plains in shades of gold and amber as Alara, Leela, and Ryder moved through the fields, inspecting the reinforced fences and newly installed sensor posts. The hum of distant wildlife filled the air, but the constant, lurking threat of corporate scouts lingered in the back of their minds. Alara had begun to realize something about Ryder. He wasn't just skilled. He was methodical, precise, and fearless. Every movement, every decision he made seemed guided by experience, yet there was a calmness to him that made her feel safe in a way she hadn't felt in years. "Mom, look!" Leela shouted, pointing toward the grazing area. A small herd of alien grazers had wandered close to the northern fence, but thanks to Ryder's modifications, they were safely corralled. Ryder nodded. Good work. They won't get out now, and the sensors will alert us if anything tries. Alara felt a flicker of pride and relief. They had transformed the ranch in just a few days. It was no longer just a fragile homestead. It was a stronghold, a place that could survive on the harsh frontier. By mid-morning, word of Ryder's arrival had spread through the nearby settlement. Farmers and settlers had begun to whisper about the mysterious cowboy who had come to protect the Whitmores. Some admired him, others were suspicious. Alara had tried to ignore the gossip, but it was hard when neighbors peeked over fences or called out comments as they passed. The Whitmores must have some hidden fortune to hire someone like that, one settler said quietly to another. Ryder, for his part, paid little attention to the rumors. He focused on the ranch, surveying the land and teaching Leela skills she hadn't known she could learn. "See those tracks?" he asked one afternoon, kneeling in the red soil. "Those belong to a skittering grazer. They travel in packs and are surprisingly fast. You need to watch for them when patrolling." Leela knelt beside him, her small hands tracing the tracks. "I can do it, Ryder." "I'll watch for them," Ryder smiled faintly. "Good. Observation is just as important as action. Remember that." As the day went on, Ryder noticed something unusual, a faint metallic trace in the soil near the western ridge. It was small, easily overlooked, but his trained eyes detected it immediately. "Mom, come here," he called quietly. "Look at this." Alara walked over, her curiosity piqued. Ryder pointed to the faint impressions in the red dust. "These aren't animal tracks. Something mechanical has been here recently, could be scouts or drones." Her heart sank. "The consortium, they're closer than ever." Ryder nodded. "Yes, we need to be ready. I suggest setting traps and decoys to slow them down if they try to approach again." Over the next few days, the ranch became a hive of activity. Ryder installed motion-sensitive alarms, reinforced fence lines, and created hidden passages for emergencies. Leela helped where she could, learning quickly under Ryder's guidance. Despite the work, there was a sense of normalcy returning to the ranch. Leela laughed as she guided the grazers, and Alara found moments of peace when she watched Ryder move among them, always alert but never hurried. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the horizon, Ryder suggested they take a short ride to survey the surrounding area. They mounted small hoverbikes, and the three of them glided across the plains, the red dust trailing behind in shimmering clouds. "See those hills?" Ryder pointed toward a ridge in the distance. "Good vantage point. From there, we can watch for any approaching drones or scouts." Alara followed, her heart racing with excitement and tension. It felt strange to ride beside someone she barely knew but trusted more than anyone else in the settlement. As they reached the ridge, Ryder scanned the horizon with a small optical device. His expression was calm, but his eyes missed nothing. "Clear for now," he said finally. "But they're watching. The consortium isn't going to give up." Alara nodded. "I just hope we're ready." Ryder turned to her. "You've done well. Your ranch is strong because of your decisions. I'm just helping." Alara felt a warmth spread through her chest. She realized that Ryder's presence was more than just protection. It was guidance, support, and reassurance. For the first time since her husband's death, she felt capable of facing the frontier on her own terms. But the peace was short-lived. That night, the ranch's sensors picked up unusual activity. Ryder's trained eye immediately recognized the pattern. A team of corporate scouts was approaching under the cover of darkness. "Mom, Leela, stay inside," Ryder instructed firmly. "This could get dangerous." Alara watched as Ryder moved silently through the shadows, setting traps and positioning decoys. His actions were precise, almost instinctual, as if he had done this 100 times before. The scouts arrived, moving cautiously across the plains. Ryder's traps slowed them down, and the decoys drew their attention away from the main ranch buildings. Frustrated, the scouts tried to regroup, but Ryder was always one step ahead, guiding the ranch's defenses with unmatched skill. Alara watched in awe as Ryder handled the situation. He wasn't just strong, he was strategic, intelligent, and fearless. The scouts eventually retreated, unable to breach the ranch's defenses. When Ryder returned, Alara rushed to him. You did it. You saved us." Ryder shook his head, brushing off the praise. "We did it. Your ranch is prepared and your people are safe. That's what matters." Leela ran up, hugging Ryder tightly. "You're amazing. Can we keep you forever?" Ryder smiled faintly, ruffling her hair. "I'll stay as long as I'm needed. That's the promise." The next day, news of Ryder's actions had spread through the settlement. Whispers turned into stories of a mysterious cowboy protecting the Whitmore Ranch from the consortium. Some settlers admired him, others feared him, but all agreed that the Whitmores were no longer an easy target. Alara felt a mix of pride and caution. She knew the rumors could attract unwanted attention, but they also served as a deterrent. Ryder's presence had transformed the ranch from a fragile homestead into a symbol of strength. Over the following weeks, Ryder continued to train Leela and help Alara reinforce the ranch. He taught them not just how to defend themselves, but also how to think strategically, anticipate threats, and use the land to their advantage. One evening, as they sat around a small fire, Ryder spoke quietly. "Alara, the consortium won't give up easily. They'll keep testing us. But you've built something strong here. Don't underestimate what humans can do when we work together." Alara looked at him, her heart swelling with gratitude and admiration. "I don't know what I would do without you, Ryder," he smiled faintly. "You do fine. You're stronger than you think. I'm just here to guide you." As the night deepened, Alara realized that Ryder's presence had changed more than just the ranch's defenses. He had brought hope, courage, and a sense of possibility. For the first time in years, she felt that they could face the frontier and whatever dangers it held. Little did she know, the next challenge would test not just their skills, but the trust they had built. The consortium had plans that went beyond scouts and drones. They were preparing something larger, something that would force Alara, Layla, and Ryder to confront dangers they had never imagined. And Ryder had secrets of his own, hints of a past filled with experiences that were far beyond the frontier ranch. Experiences that might soon become the key to their survival. The sun rose again over the Whitmore Ranch, casting its golden light across the red plains. The ranch stood strong, but the horizon promised new challenges, new threats, and new opportunities. And at the center of it all, Ryder, the mysterious cowboy, remained vigilant, always watching, always ready, and always one step ahead. The frontier was dangerous, but for the Whitmores, it was also a place of hope. And with Ryder by their side, that hope burned brighter than ever. The red plains of the frontier stretched endlessly under the glare of the twin suns. Alara Whitmore stood at the edge of her reinforced fence, scanning the horizon for any signs of the consortium's scouts. The ranch had grown stronger under Ryder's guidance, yet the uneasy feeling in her chest never fully left her. Every whisper of wind, every distant hum of machinery reminded her that danger was never far away. Ryder emerged from the barn, carrying a set of tools. His expression was calm, but Alara noticed the faint tension in his eyes. He moved with the quiet precision of someone who had faced countless threats before, each step purposeful and deliberate. "Alara," Ryder said, his voice low, "we need to discuss something important. The consortium won't stop with scouts. They're planning a full inspection, and if they find any reason, they'll try to take the ranch permanently." Alara's stomach tightened. She had feared this day, but hearing it confirmed brought a new weight. "We've reinforced the fences, installed sensors. What else can we do?" Ryder sighed, resting his hand on the fence post. "Sometimes strength isn't enough. Strategy matters. And for that, you need to understand more about who I am and what I can do." Alara blinked, surprised. "Who you are? Ryder, he held up a hand. "Let me explain. I'm not just a cowboy from the frontier. I was once part of the Interstellar Law Enforcement Corps, assigned to protect settlers on newly colonized planets. I retired a few years ago, but my skills, they're what I bring here. Protecting this ranch isn't just about fences and fences posts. It's about anticipation, preparation, and sometimes direct action." Alara felt a mix of awe and disbelief. "You were in the Corps," Ryder nodded. "Yes, I've seen more threats than I can count. Pirates, raiders, corporations bending the law to their advantage. The frontier isn't easy, and sometimes humans have to stand together to survive." Leela, who had been listening from the barn, gasped. "You're a hero." Ryder gave a faint smile, ruffling her hair. I don't do it for fame. I do it because it's necessary, and now it's necessary here. Alara's mind raced. Everything suddenly made sense. The way Ryder anticipated the scouts, the traps, the decoys. His abilities weren't ordinary. They were extraordinary. And for the first time, she felt a surge of hope that they could face the consortium's next move. That afternoon, Ryder led Alara and Leela to a vantage point on a nearby ridge. From there, they could see the shimmering glint of corporate drones moving cautiously across the plains. Ryder pointed out the patterns. They're scouting systematically. They want to find weaknesses before sending in heavier forces. Alara's eyes narrowed. So they're planning something bigger, Ryder nodded. Yes, we need to prepare for a coordinated strike. If they try to take the ranch, it won't be a simple encounter. They'll use technology, numbers, and legal pressure. We need to be ready for all of it. Over the next few days, Ryder trained Alara and Leela in advanced frontier tactics. He taught them how to use the terrain to their advantage, how to move quietly, and how to anticipate mechanical threats. Leela absorbed the lessons eagerly, her confidence growing with each passing day. One evening, as they returned from a patrol, Ryder paused at the edge of the fields. "Alara," he said, "there's something you need to understand about the consortium. They're not just after land, they're after control. They'll use any means necessary and they won't hesitate to exploit fear." Alara felt a chill. "We've already faced scouts. What more could they do?" Ryder looked toward the horizon, where the sun dipped behind distant rock formations. "They have drones capable of scanning buildings for supplies, automated systems that can manipulate land ownership records, and agents who can bend local laws to take control. If we aren't careful, they could take this ranch without ever stepping foot on it." Alara swallowed hard. "Then we fight smart, not just with strength but with strategy." Ryder's eyes softened. "Exactly, and that's why I'm here. Not just to protect you physically, but to help you understand how humans can thrive even under overwhelming pressure. We're clever, adaptable, and resourceful. That's what makes us strong." The next morning, Ryder led a reconnaissance mission toward the northern hills. They moved quietly, scanning the terrain for any signs of the consortium. As they climbed a ridge, Ryder paused, crouching low. He pointed to a series of faint tracks in the red dust. "Look," he said, "they've been here recently. These aren't animal tracks, they're mechanical. Someone has been testing the land, measuring the defenses." Alara frowned. "So the scouts weren't random, they were deliberate." Ryder nodded. "Yes, and that means a larger operation is coming. We need to be ready." As they returned to the ranch, Ryder implemented new measures. Hidden alarms, reinforced structures, and strategically placed observation points. Alara watched, realizing that his methods were more than just physical preparation. They were lessons in human ingenuity and foresight. One afternoon, while repairing a section of the fence, Ryder spoke quietly to Alara. "I've kept secrets about my past because it wasn't necessary until now. But you need to know, I've faced situations like this before. I've protected settlers against forces much larger than us. And I can do it again." Alara felt a surge of gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you. You've done so much already." Ryder shook his head. "You don't need to thank me. Protecting humans, protecting families, that's what matters. The frontier is dangerous, but together we're stronger." As evening fell, the twin moons rose, casting silver light across the red plains. Alara, Leela, and Ryder stood at the edge of the fields, watching the stars appear one by one. "Mom," Leela whispered, "do you think they'll try to take our ranch again?" Alara smiled softly, wrapping an arm around her daughter. "I don't know, but we have Ryder now, and with him I think we can face anything." Ryder's gaze lingered on the distant horizon. "The frontier always tests humans, but humans adapt, humans survive, and humans protect what matters. That's what we'll do here." Days later, the consortium made their move. A team of heavily armed agents arrived under the pretense of an inspection, backed by drones scanning every corner of the ranch. Ryder met them at the edge of the property, his calm presence unnerving the intruders. "State your business," he said, voice steady. One agent stepped forward. "We're here to inspect the land. Ownership records indicate you may not be in compliance with local laws." Ryder's eyes flicked to Alara. She took a deep breath, standing tall beside him. "We are compliant. This ranch has been operational for decades. Any claims otherwise are false." The agents hesitated, scanning Ryder and the ranch. His confidence, his knowledge, and the visible strength of the ranch's defenses made them uneasy. Ryder subtly activated the hidden alarms, ensuring that any aggressive action would be met with strategic obstacles. Hours passed, and the agents grew frustrated. Every attempt to intimidate or pressure the Whitmores was met with calculated resistance. Ryder guided Alara in presenting evidence of ownership, operational records, and the ingenuity behind the ranch's defenses. Finally, the agents retreated, muttering under their breath. Ryder watched them leave, ensuring they didn't attempt to return immediately. Alara exhaled, relief flooding her. You really saved us. I don't know how you did it." Ryder smiled faintly. "I didn't do it alone. You and Leela made the ranch strong. I just helped guide it." As night fell, the stars shimmered above the Whitmore ranch. For the first time in months, Alara felt a sense of peace. The consortium had been thwarted and the ranch was safe, at least for now. But Ryder knew the frontier never stayed quiet for long. Threats would return, and the Whitmores would face challenges greater than any they had imagined. And yet, he also knew that humans were stronger than they often realized, clever, resourceful, and capable of extraordinary feats when protecting what they loved. Alara watched him thoughtfully. The man she had hired to pretend to be a husband had revealed his true self, not just a protector, but a guide, a mentor, and perhaps a hero in the truest sense. And as the twin moons rose over the red plains, she realized that with Ryder by her side, the Whitmore ranch could survive anything the frontier and the universe threw at them. The next challenge was coming. Ryder could feel it in the subtle movements of the land, the distant hum of drones, and the whisper of the wind across the plains. But no matter what happened, he was ready. And so were the Whitmores. Humans were clever. Humans were resilient. Humans would survive. And the frontier would remember that. The morning sun rose over the red plains of the Whitmore ranch, painting the horizon in streaks of gold and amber. Alara Whitmore stood at the edge of the reinforced fence, her eyes scanning the distant hills. Something in the air felt different, tense, electric, as though the wind itself carried a warning. Ryder joined her quietly, placing a steady hand on the railing. "They're coming," he said simply. Alara's heart skipped a beat. "The consortium," he nodded. "They've gathered a larger team. Drones, agents, and automated systems. They're planning a full strike to take the ranch. This time it won't be a simple inspection." Layla, standing beside them, clenched her small fists. "We won't let them take our home, will we?" Ryder looked at her with a faint smile. "No, not if we do this right. Humans are clever, adaptable, and resourceful. That's what will protect us." The ranch had never looked stronger. Fences reinforced with alloy posts, energy nets ready to stun intruders, and sensor networks alerting them to every movement. Hidden paths and decoy structures made it difficult for outsiders to navigate, and Ryder had drilled Alara and Leela in both observation and tactical movement. Still, as the hum of approaching drones grew louder, Alara felt a surge of fear. This wasn't a small threat. This was a calculated attack by a powerful corporation that didn't hesitate to exploit the weak. Ryder placed a hand on her shoulder. "Fear is natural, but courage comes from using that fear wisely. Trust in yourself, in Leela, and in me." Hours later, the first drones appeared, hovering silently above the plains. Their lights scanned methodically, seeking weak points. Ryder signaled to Alara and Leela, guiding them to observation points where they could monitor without being seen. "Remember the drills," he whispered. Stay quiet, stay focused, and watch for patterns. They'll reveal their next move if we pay attention. Alara's heart pounded as she watched the machine sweep across the ranch. Then the agents appeared, moving cautiously through the rocky terrain, weapons ready. Ryder activated hidden alarms, sending false signals to confuse the drones. Lights blinked, sensors misread movement, and the consortium's team hesitated. Now, Ryder said, and the decoys shifted, drawing the intruders away from the main buildings. Automated traps were triggered. Stunning pulses and energy nets immobilized several drones, while hidden panels revealed defensive positions. Alara and Leela moved silently, relaying observations to Ryder. Every small action, every carefully timed signal contributed to the defense of their home. It was a dance of human ingenuity and technological advantage. The consortium's team regrouped, attempting to advance toward the farmhouse. Ryder emerged from the shadows, calm and authoritative, using both strategy and intimidation to keep them at bay. His movements were precise, calculated, and effortless, as though he had faced countless battles before this one. "Leave this land," Ryder said firmly. "You have no right here." One agent raised a weapon, but before they could act, the energy nets activated, stopping them in their tracks. Drones were disabled, and the rest of the team retreated in confusion, realizing they had underestimated the defenses. Alara's hands shook with adrenaline and relief. You did it. We're safe," Ryder shook his head. "We did it. This ranch is strong because of your decisions, your preparation. I just guided it." Leela ran up to him, eyes wide with admiration. "You're amazing, Ryder. You saved us." Ryder knelt down, looking her in the eye. "We all did. Humans survive by working together, by being clever and courageous. You've already learned that, Leela." The consortium wasn't finished, though. Ryder knew they would return with more advanced technology, more agents, and perhaps legal maneuvers to claim the land. But for now, the immediate threat had been neutralized. That evening, as the twin moons rose over the Red Plains, Ryder revealed more of his past to Alara. "I was part of the Interstellar Law Enforcement Corps. My job was to protect settlers, mediate disputes, and sometimes fight those who tried to exploit them. The frontier is harsh, and humans have to rely on ingenuity as much as strength. That's what I bring here: experience, strategy, and understanding of threats." Alara listened awed. "I always wondered why you were so skilled. Now it makes sense. You're more than a cowboy, you're a hero." Ryder shook his head. "I'm not a hero. I'm a human who has learned to survive and protect. That's what matters. Humans are capable of extraordinary things when they have to be, and this ranch, your family, needs that courage now." In the following days, the Whitmores and Ryder worked tirelessly. Fences were further strengthened, observation posts expanded, and traps refined. Alara learned to anticipate threats. Leela practiced reconnaissance, and Ryder taught them to trust both their instincts and their intelligence. Then, one night, scouts reported unusual activity in the distant hills. Ryder and Alara observed from the ridge, realizing that the consortium had brought reinforcements, more drones, heavier equipment, and larger teams of agents. "They're serious this time," Ryder said, eyes scanning the movement. "But we've learned. We're ready." The final confrontation began at dawn. The consortium advanced, expecting to overwhelm the ranch quickly. But Ryder had anticipated their approach, setting traps, hidden alarms, and decoys that led them into carefully prepared positions. Energy nets, automated barricades, and sensor-guided systems slowed the advance. Ryder moved swiftly among the defenders, guiding them, correcting mistakes, and taking action where necessary. Alara coordinated communications and observations, while Leela relayed sensor data with remarkable precision. The consortium's agents tried to push forward, but every move was countered. Ryder's calm, strategic thinking combined with human adaptability created a defense that even the most advanced technology struggled to penetrate. Hours passed. The battle of strategy and skill tested every nerve. Ryder's past experience shone through. He moved like a general, anticipating moves, setting traps, and guiding the Whitmores with unwavering confidence. Finally, the consortium realized they could not succeed. Their drones were disabled, agents confused, and automated systems compromised. Retreat became the only option. Ryder ensured their departure was complete, monitoring the horizon until the last of the drones vanished. Alara collapsed into a chair, exhaustion and relief mingling. "We did it," she whispered. "The ranch, it's safe." Ryder placed a hand on her shoulder. "For now. The frontier is always dangerous, but humans survive because we learn, adapt, and protect what matters. You've done that. Leela has done that. And together you've made this ranch stronger than ever." Leela hugged Ryder tightly. "I want to be like you when I grow up, brave, smart, and always helping others." Ryder smiled, ruffling her hair. "You already are." Courage isn't about fighting. It's about making the right choices and protecting what's important. Days later, the settlement gathered near the Whitmore Ranch. Whispers about the mysterious cowboy who had saved the ranch turned into stories of courage, skill, and human ingenuity. Alara realized that Ryder had not only protected their home, but had also inspired others, showing what humans could accomplish when united and clever. Alara and Ryder worked together to reinforce legal claims, prepare long-term defenses, and ensure the ranch could withstand future threats. Ryder's presence was no longer just protection, it was mentorship, guidance, and partnership. One quiet evening, as the twin moons reflected on the red plains, Alara watched Ryder walking among the fields. He paused, looking toward the horizon, his silhouette calm and confident. She realized that the man she had hired to pretend to be a husband had become something far more significant, a guardian, a guide, and a symbol of human strength. She approached him quietly. "Ryder," she said softly, "I don't know how to ever repay you." He looked at her calm and steady. "You already have, by standing strong, by protecting your family, and by using your mind and heart to defend this land, you've shown courage. That's all anyone can ask for." Alara smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. "The frontier is harsh, but humans can survive anything," Ryder nodded. "Exactly. Humans are clever, resourceful, and resilient, and this ranch, your family, proves it." The Whitmore Ranch stood tall, safe, and thriving. The consortium had retreated, and the frontier was once again under human watch and determination. Ryder, Alara, and Leela had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, not just because of strength, but because of intelligence, strategy, and courage. And as the twin moons rose over the red plains, Alara knew that whatever challenges came next, they would face them together. Humans had survived the harshest frontiers, and with courage, ingenuity, and unity, they always would. The frontier was dangerous, but it was also full of hope, and the Whitmore Ranch, with Ryder's guidance and the strength of its people, would remain a symbol of human resilience for years to come. Humans survived, humans thrived, and humans always protected what mattered most.